Sorry, actually Teams had an issue and I had to actually restart the whole system, and then still Teams wasn't running. Then I had to actually go and do kind of a reinstall of Teams before I could again begin the class. That's why it took a bit of time. But anyway, now I hope you're able to see everything. Now, I mean, are you able to see what I'm writing, and are you able to hear me also?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry, my volume was low. You're able to hear me, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay, fine. So again, we'll just do one more problem on single reinforced beam itself. I thought I'll do 2 problems today, but it seems big. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do 2 problems. Okay, so what I have shown over here is this is a floor system. Okay, consisting of beams and also the slabs. So right now we are doing only beam design. You have learned only beam design. So now we'll design this beam. Now, whenever you have floor system, you have the option of designing your beam either as rectangular, or you can design it as a T-beam. Okay, if you integrate beam with slab. So these are 2 options which you have when you design the beam for a floor system. When you do T-beam design, your depth of the beam will reduce, and so therefore in big projects they may want to actually there are some detailing differences as well between rectangular beam and T-beam. But right now this is what you have learned. You have learned only rectangular beam, and you can design the beam of a flow system as a rectangular beam as well. Only thing, then you will have to actually you will get a slightly higher depth than what you would get if you do the design as a T-beam. Okay. Anyway, when we once again finish T-beam design and the slab design concepts, then we'll come back to this same flow system and we'll design the slab, and we'll also design the same beam as a T-beam, and then we'll compare it. Right now we'll just proceed with designing this as a rectangular beam. Okay. Now the difference compared to the last problem which I showed you is I've given you the live and dead loads. I've also given you something known as support width. I've marked the entire span of the beam. Okay, I mark the entire span of the beam, or so therefore from this entire span of the beam, I'll have to get the clear span, and then I'll find the effective span. Okay, so this is 6 meters from the center of this support to the center of this support of the beam. Okay, and the support width I've given here as 300 mm. Okay, so basically this is like so there is this support, okay, on one end, and then there's this beam has come, and on the other end there's the other support. So I've mainly drawn these. So I've assumed that this beam is resting on the center of this support to the center of this support. Okay, I've given that distance. Okay, center to center distance of the supports. Actually, the beam will not rest on edge like center. If the support is there, it will be on the entire support. Okay, so this is the beam, and center of this support to center of this support I've given us 6 meters distance. So from this, I'll have to find what the clear span is. Okay, clear span from the inner face of this support to the inner face of this support. So if this is 6 meters and this width is 300 mm, sorry. So what will be the one inside? What will be the clear span? So center to center of support is 6 meters, width of the support, each support is 300 mm. So what is the clear span? Pretty simple. Now, what is the clear span? It's just
so 5.7. 5.7.
5.7 or
meter.
5. Oh yeah, 5.7 meters. Okay.
7.
Yeah, he's right. It's 5.7 meters. So this is 300 mm. So half of this and the half of this side also you will minus. So 6 minus 150 mm minus 150 mm. So 5.7 meters. So this is clear span. Then we also want to find the effective span. So effective span I told you is a clear span plus your effective depth. Effective depth we do not know yet. So let us just find the effective depth. Okay. So effective depth we have the L by D. Okay, should be greater than 20. So this span when you use, you can just use the actual span which is given to you, which is 6 meters. Okay. So you will say that D should be greater than 600 by 20. So D should be greater than how much? So by this is for simplicity I put it. So D should be greater than how much?
D should be less than that.
Oh, sorry, L by D should be. Sorry. This is wrong actually. Yeah. Now tell me, D should be greater than. This L by D is actually limiting criterion. It should not exceed that. I by mistake put a greater sign. It should be lesser than. So D should be greater than 300 mm, right? So D should be greater than 300 mm. Let us assume that we are giving. Assume you provide. Always know whatever you get, make it a little more than that, so that later you will not have much problems. Okay. So you put this in here. So what do you get for the effective span? So all these small things when I ask you, just answer it quickly so that.
So 6.05.
6.05 meters. Okay. Oops, 1 minute. Yeah, 6.05 meters. So this thing is known now. The next thing we want to find is the load calculation. Okay, now geometrically speaking, let's just come back to this figure. And I want to design one of these beams. Whichever beam I design, it's going to be the same. So one of these beams I want to design, and this floor is such that each beam is spaced 5 meters apart from each other, from center of this beam to center of this beam, and then lengthways there are maybe 2 or 3 more beams in each direction. So this is 5 meters from the center of this beam to the center of this beam. Okay, or the center to center dimensions of this slab is 5 meters by 6 meters. Now I have found this is the width of my slab system. So, and this is given to me in kilonewton per meter square. This is 1.5 kilonewton, 1 kilonewton per meter square for the live load, and 2.5 kilonewton per meter square for the dead load. So if I want to convert this to kilonewton per meter, how do I find it? How do I find the kilonewton per meter load on this beam or this beam? No, if I want to convert it to UDL, kilonewton per meter. I know this is 5 meters. I know the area load is 1 and 2.5. So how do I convert this area load to a per meter distance load along this direction? What do you multiply by? You want to convert some area quantity to a per length quantity. How do you then find it? 1 into
So
what number?
multiple span between the floors.
Yeah, so what is that?
10, so 10.
10, not 10. Okay, so what we assume is, so if you have this beam, so Let me choose some other color. Okay, maybe this. So if I want to find it for this beam, I'll take from the middle of this portion to the middle of this portion. Okay, so whatever load comes on this part comes onto this beam. Similarly, whatever load is on this part, maybe a different color. Whatever load is on this part comes onto this beam. So I have already told you that center to center for these beams is 5 meters. So basically it will be 2.5 to this point and 2.5 to this point. 2.5, or whenever you see a flow system like this, just take the span, which is 5 meters, and say that this beam takes 5 meters worth of width. Okay, that much width, whatever load is coming, that will come onto this beam. Okay, so and similarly, how you take that 5 meters is on this side half and on the other side another half. Okay, so half of whatever is on this span and half of whatever is on this span, both those things come together. So for example, if you have a system like this, say you have a beam over here, it's like this, and say this is 3 meters and this is something else, 4 meters. Then how much is the width that you will account for this beam? So 5 meters and everything is 5 meters. I say 5 meters width of load will come onto this beam. If the spans are not equal, if it's 3 and 4, for example, then what will you take as the width to be considered for this beam? Width of the load to be considered for this beam.
1.5 and 2.
1.5 and 2. So 3.5 meters we'll consider. So like that, you'll have to just look at it and see how much width of area load will come onto that particular beam. So here it's 1 and 2.5. So if we convert it to kilonewton per meter, so live load, which is 1 kilonewton per meter square, you convert it to kilonewton per meter. So how much is it? Or let me go one step ahead and say factored live load. So 1 kilonewton per meter square, you're changing for it to kilonewton per meter. What will you get in terms of kilonewton per meter? Quick answers, very quick answers for these things.
5 kilonewton per meter.
5 kilonewton per meter. So when you factor it, how much will it become?
7.5.
7.5. So basically into 1.5 you have to multiply the factor, and this is 7.5 kilonewton per meter. Similarly, dead load is 2.5. So do the same thing for dead load. Okay, 2.5. This becomes how much? 2.5 into again 5 is how much? Yes. Someone else tell me. It's always the same voice that I'm hearing. So somebody else probably tell me what comes here. 1 became 5. What will 2.5 become? Have the
12.5.
12.5. Thank God. Okay, after so much time and so much begging. Okay. So and factored the factor load becomes
1.5.
Yeah. So how much is it in the end?
18.75.
18.75. So the total both live and dead load will be in the same direction. So I can just add this total load. Both of this will be in the gravity direction. So how much is the sum of this? How much is the total?
26.25.
26.25, thank you. Okay, now load is done, and we've also assumed some effective depth. Okay, so now our job is, now we have to find the moment. So the factor, already we have included the factor 1.5. So the factor moment is nothing but the factored load. This is the total factored load. So the total factored load into effective span squared divided by 8. Okay, where the W is this. Okay, 26.25, and this is LE, effective span 6.05 meters, and this divided by 8. So how much is the factored moment?
One
120.10.
How much?
120.10.
120?
0.10.
120.1.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So others, you get 120.1. No, again this is a random problem which I've just chosen. I do not know what the answers are. Others get 120.1.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we start a design process and we set this equal to our mu limit. Okay. So we say based on our formula 120.1, which is mu limit. So convert it to newtons and millimeters. So into 10 power 6. Our grade of steel is 500. So it will be some number. Okay. It will be FCK B squared. Now B value I have not given. Let me just assume B is. Let's assume B is, assume width of beam. Is also 300. Okay, for this B. Okay, so what will be this number? Anyone remembers for FE 500?
0.133.
0.133. FCK is 25. D is sorry, B is 300. Yeah, we have in mm only, no, so 300. This D we have to find. Okay, we have just assumed that it is 350. That is for the purpose of deflection control. Okay, for that purpose only we did this and assume that it's going to be maybe provide 350, but we do not know whether that 350 will be sufficient for the moment. So we have to evaluate what is this actual, what is the D that we are going to get out of this. So from this you can just tell me what you will get for D. Or let me say D required. Okay, just give me what is D required. So how much is the required depth, required effective depth? So basically root of this divided by 0.133, 25 into 300. Does this calculation take this much time on a calculator?
346.98.
How much?
346.98.
346.98 mm. Okay. So actually speaking, it is more or less the same as we have assumed. So actually speaking, this is compared to this 350, this is actually coming within the, we've actually provided slightly more than what is actually required. But generally when you do a design, if you see that the required depth based on this calculation is coming almost very close to what you have actually taken, don't leave it at that. It's always a reasonably decent practice to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so that later when you provide reinforcement and all those things, you don't invert, because you may calculate the reinforcement to be something square. Then because of the number of bars you can provide, it will always be a little bit more than that. Okay, and we do not want that situation to make our beam reinforced or over reinforced. So always it is better to make it slightly bigger than what you get. So let me assume, or not assume, let's provide. You're not assuming anything anymore, you're going to provide it. Okay, you're no longer assuming anything, you are providing. Providing the overall depth as 346. If I want to keep required depth as 400, no, let me say 450 overall depth. It's much safer. It's actually pretty safe giving this much higher, but it's a good practice. Unless you have some restriction on the depth, then you can do this. If you have a restriction on the depth, then obviously you're going to go for a doubly reinforced beam. And we also assume that we have 20 bars. Replacing 16 bars, 20 will be a bit too much. So let's assume 16 bars. So therefore, the effective depth will be 450 minus, and of course, moderate exposure. So moderate exposure, what do I subtract to get the effective depth? What is this number for the clear cover? So this is why people should be having their code book beside them, or if not beside them, at least in PDF form.
Clear cover.
How much?
Sir, 30 you can take clear cover for moderate.
30, fine for clear cover, and then the remaining part, what is subtract?
8, like diameter, radius of the bar, so 16 by 2, 8.
16 by 2, 8. Okay, so this comes 50, 420, 412, I believe. It's 412, right? Okay, so our actual effective depth, actual provided effective depth is 412 mm. Now, next part is we want to find what is the how much reinforcement we require. So for that we have that formula. In terms of, actually there are two formulas to use. Maybe at the end of this problem I'll tell you how this formula came. Okay. So 50 FCK by Fy into 1 minus root of 1 minus 4.598 mu by FCK d square, where d is, I'll just write down all the numbers. So this is 25, this is 500, this is 120.1, 10 power 6, again 25, 300, and d is d square is 412 square. So just see how much you get. In that cupboard there will be one there as well. RCC book, just take that. There as well an RCC book, just on that row, yeah. Basic inputs concrete design. No, that is not technology. In the middle somewhere it will be. Middle. Yeah. Okay. 'Anyone's found it out?
.618.
Okay. Madam, sorry, ma'am. Class till 12:30 வரைக்கும். என்ன தேடி பார்க்குறேன். பார்க்குறேன் தேடி பார்க்குறேன் வீட்டில் அப்புறமா. சரி மேம், ஓகே. அது யார் பண்ணாங்கன்னு யாருன்னு ஞாபகம் இல்லை. யார் பண்ண சரி, 2 பேருக்கும் தேடி பார்க்குறேன். சாங்கன் சார்லையும் பாஸ்கர் சார்லையும். ஓகேங்க, சரி மேம், ஓகே. Yeah, so 0.6, somebody found something. 0.6, how much? How much was that? 0.6, sir.
0.618.
0.62%.
618.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going by what you say. Somebody else, if you get a different number, please tell me. Okay, so this is PT, and of course you can always check it with PT limit. PT limit, you can actually open your what is that, SP16, and see what is your PT limit for different grades of steel. Okay, so usually for no, if you find it is, I think 1.1% is PT limit, I think. So this is very much lesser than that, so we have no issue. Okay, so this I definitely know that it's lesser than PT limit. If you want, you can just check it from SP16 1980. What PT limit for FE 500 and M25 combination is. Okay. So if anybody is wondering how this equation comes, it is actually the solution of this equation in solution of this quadratic equation in PT. So if you look at this equation, this is actually quadratic in PT, and if you actually solve this, and you probably you can write this as a homework. No, you retain the equation like this: mu bd square 0.87 fy pt by 100 1 minus fy by 50 pt by 100. So you just solve this equation, get the positive root of this equation, and see whether it is something close to this. Okay, this you can try later. So this I have found. So AST is 0.618 divided by 100 into BD. B is 300, D is 412. So get me what is AST.
$763.84. 85, sir.
764. Okay, others also check if you get 76 square. We have assumed 16 mm bars. So 116 mm bar is one number of 16.5 gives me 201 mm square. So I think this is a bit easy compared to the previous problem. So definitely, how much bars you need? Since we have used 16 mm bars, how many bars do we need to achieve at least this much?
4.
We need 4 bars. So provide 4 bars. That will amount to about 802 mm square. It's more than this, but we need not worry that since we have given more than this AST which we calculated, we do not have the fear that we are going to become over reinforced, because look at, we have only 0.618% when we found out this AST, and changing from 764 to 802 is not going to make this number much greater. Okay, it will still be much lesser than PT limit, so we have no worry that we are going to become over reinforced. Okay, so that worry is definitely not there. So of course, again, if we go by the other one, let me just see, open my SP16. So I go to M25 and FE500 table. So just verify that we get something similar. So let me actually reshare my screen. Okay, so now if I look at ME by BD square, if I go by SP16, okay, so I have taken this as 412, but anyway, so let me just use the same thing. MU is 120.1 into 10 power 6, B is 300, so this is 412 square. Okay, so how much do I get for this MU by BD square? (120.1 into 10 power 6 divided by 300 into 412 square). How much comes? I'm going to end the class once this is over. So
2.358.
2.358.
Yes, sir.
2.36 in that case. Okay. Okay, 2.36. It's somewhere over here. See, so this is FE500. Can you see my this? Maybe I'll highlight it. So this is 2.35 in this part, and this last row is FE500. Do you see 0.617? Here you got 0.618. Can you see how both methods are relatively equivalent? Are you able to see what I highlighted over here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's the same thing too. So you find MU by BD square, and you go to the appropriate value of 500, and the value of steel, and you pick out the percentage of steel, you will get it. And now, finally, let me saying that now how did this table come? That is the question. Who actually generated these tables? How did they generate these tables? The answer is here. Okay. So basically, they just took a big array of different values of MU by BD square, different values of Fy, and they actually iteratively found a big matrix of such as solutions for PT, and these solutions of PT are only these numbers. Okay, all these percentages of steel are all just solutions of that equation. That's why you have MU by BD square on one side, and on the other side it is PT and in terms of Fy. Okay, that's what these tables are. Okay, so you should know how these tables come. Okay, so in fact, if you go back and if you try to solve this equation manually and find out PT, you will again get either 0.618 or 0.617. Okay, so from this you got PT is equal to 0.617%. Okay, the issue why we had a bit of problem over here in the previous, the last week's problem is we required 514 mm square and we chose exactly 514 mm square. Okay, you chose exactly 514 mm square and then you provided slightly more AST than what was required, and you are very much in the margin between under reinforced and over reinforced beam. The reason is because you required 514 mm square, you actually gave only 500 mm square. Okay, you actually were on the border, and because of that, when you went back to this table, you were not able to find a required value of this PT, because that means because actually you had just become over reinforced. So this is the reason why when I told you, when you actually find out the effective depth and you're providing, when you actually provide the effective depth, make it a little bit larger so that you do not have the issue of becoming over reinforced after the provision of AST. Okay, so that's the reason why it's always a good idea to provide a slightly bigger section than what was mentioned to you. So then you have to always end by drawing the cross section of the beam. So we have 4 numbers of 16 mm bars, an effective depth of 412 mm square. Actually, you need not put mm always when you draw because it's understood. This is 300, and you just say 4 numbers of 16.5, and always you have to write the grade and thing inside. So as of now, we are looking only at the cross section detailing. Longitudinal section detailing, it is, I'll just show it to you later. I will probably not be, because you have, once you start drawing doubly reinforced beams, you will also start having reinforcement on the top. So those things and all, how to actually detail it. Separately, one class I'll just show it to you through another different code book, but I'll not be specifically solving problems based on that. Okay, so I'll start with this. Tomorrow we'll proceed with designing doubly reinforced beams. So it will be very similar to this. Only thing will be a little bit more longer. So I'll stop. I have another class, so I will not take any questions now. And any doubts are there, probably you can ask after tomorrow's class. Okay, let me close the meeting. Do I have your permission to do that?